So, why should you bother with photo editing in food and product photography? Well, it's like the magic touch in your creative process. This crucial step enhances the visual appeal, fixes imperfections, ensures a consistent style, and helps weave a captivating visual story. Think of it as the secret sauce that transforms your food and product photos into unforgettable masterpieces. And hey, before we dive into the details, a little heads up, stick around because there's an exciting giveaway waiting for you at the end of this video. Hi, it's Rose here again, your online buddy passionate about sharing food and product photography tips. Teaching is my true love, but I'm also on a mission to empower small businesses with eye-catching food and product photos that boost sales and online presence. Throughout my journey, I've collaborated with some incredible local brands. Now, you might be wondering, how do we edit our photos effectively? I get it. When I started in food and product photography, I was clueless about editing. I tinkered with basic phone tools and maybe went a bit overboard a few times. Cringeworthy, I know, but we all start somewhere, right? After years of editing projects, I crafted a workflow that I use almost every time. Today, I'm spilling the beans on that workflow. A quick note, I'll be using Adobe Lightroom on a Mac, but feel free to use any editing software you're comfortable with. The principles I'll share apply across the board. So, we'll kick things off with a quick tour of Lightroom, and then we'll dive into my photo editing routine. If you're ready, let's start by launching Lightroom. So this is the new catalog that I created earlier. So we will be editing chocolate cakes and chocolate bombs. So that's already opened. So next, we need to import the photos that we will edit. So what I'll do is I'll just drag and drop it. So I went to the folder and I just drag and drop all of the photos. And then you can put a check on all of the photos that you want to edit. If there's something that you don't want to edit, you can just remove the check on it. And then you can click on import. And then from here, you can organize it more. Let's say you want a folder for the cake separated from the chocolate bombs. You can just click on add to quick collection or add to a collection. And then here, your 4 cake photos will be added here, and you can even save it and put a name on it. Let's say tall cakes. So when you go to your folders, or sorry, your collections, then it should be here, tall cakes. But if you want to edit all of the photos that you've imported, you can just go to all photographs. So that's just one way to organize your photos inside Lightroom. Now from here, you can also adjust the orientation, or you can rotate the photos so you can edit them properly. And then you can just choose which photo you want to edit first. So in my case, I want to edit this tall cake. So to do that, I can just click on the develop tab or the develop module. And then from here, you have your main settings here. And then you can see the whole photo here. This is your navigator. So later when we zoom in, you can just go to different areas in your photo. So again, this is just a crash course on Lightroom, so I won't be going through the nitty-gritty, but I just want to show you mainly my workflow. So let's just go over basic adjustment. So now that we've selected a photo to edit, and we're now under the develop module. So the first thing that I usually do is to crop my photo. So for example, if I want this to go to Instagram, I can just use the square crop. Let's say I want to upload it on Facebook, I can also use the 4x5, this is by the way my most used crop because my clients are usually uploading their photos on Facebook. So let's do 4x5 in editing this photo. So next, the basic adjustments are exposure, contrast, highlights, shadows, whites, blacks, and this is where we adjust the overall tonal balance. So we can experiment with these photos to help our photo or our food photo to pop. So first, let's adjust the exposure. So as you can see, it's a bit dark, so we can adjust it here. So I usually play with 20 to 50. If it's really, really dark and I really need to bump up the exposure, that's when I go beyond 50. But I like to keep it to a minimum. So for me, I think 50 is good. And then we can add a bit of contrast. So I usually just play around with 10 to 20 when it comes to contrast. And then for the highlights, you can either add to highlights or decrease the highlights. In this photo, as I look at it, I can see harsh highlights here, but then this side is a bit dark. So when I increase the highlights, this part will look a little blown out. So what I'll do instead is decrease the highlights so that I can also get some of the details. But of course, you can definitely play around with this. And then for the shadows, I will remove the shadows. So as you can see, this area is getting brighter. Okay. This is very unusual that I go all the way to 60 because this area right here is really dark. So I think 60 is good. Later, we'll play with the other functions here on Lightroom to show you how I will try and make this photo more beautiful and how we can make it pop. So for the whites, I'll just add a bit of whites and just add a bit of blacks. So when you go all the way here, the blacks in your photo, it will show all the blacks. And then here, it will remove all the blacks. So I want to add a bit. Next, I also want to add a bit of texture. So that's okay. I usually do this on most of my food photos. So it's always +10 for me. That's like the safe setting for me so far. And I also want to add clarity because we want clear photos. Days, I usually use that for landscape, so skipping that. And then vibrance, just a bit to add more colors into our scene. I can add a bit of saturation, but not too much because as you can see, it doesn't look nice. So maybe just 10 as well. Okay. For the tone curve, I use this instead of playing around with the tone curve. I just add a bit of highlights, just a bit. I play with 5 to 10. And then for the lights, we can just add a bit. And then a bit of darks. So not too much. Okay, and let's take a peek on the before and after. As you can see, it's already getting better and it's starting to pop. So we're doing good. So next, the white balance. I think it's at the top. So for the white balance, you can either use this selection tool. So you can just point that at something neutral on your photo, white or neutral. So this gave me a really warm effect. It's actually nice, but let's see. What if I adjust the temperature manually? So you can either use this or you can do it manually here using the temperature and the tint. So this is really warm and this is too cool. So I think just a bit of warmness, but not too much. I think this is good. Okay, let's see the before and after. Yes, I think that's better. So we're done with our basic adjustments, our white balance, our crop. Oh, actually, I forgot to straighten it. I can see that it's not that straight. So we can also straighten it using the crop functions. Okay, is it straight now? Hang on, just a little bit more. Okay. Okay. I think that's better. All right. Now let's move on to gradient filters. So as you can see, this side of the photo is kind of dark for me. So we can use the gradient filters to try and correct that. So I selected, so let me just show you that again. So here I selected linear gradient. And then from here, oops, sorry. Oh my goodness. Here. The one with that red overlay means that's the one that will be affected. So let's adjust the exposure. As you can see, as we adjust the exposure, it's changing how this side of the photo looks. So let me just make it a little bit bigger. And let's adjust the exposure. I think 30 is good. Let me just adjust it just a little bit and then press enter. And let's see the before and after. I think that's looking a lot better. All right, so what if you want to remove some imperfections in your photo? For example, let's say this area right here. What if we want to remove those? You can also use the spot removal feature on Lightroom. So you can either choose this. I think this is erase. This is heal and this is clone. So let's choose erase instead. So it will erase that, as you can see. Oops. What? Command Z. Command Z. Okay, sorry about that. Let's do that and then press enter and it's gone. Here's the before and after. So where else? What else do we want to remove? Okay. Let's say we want to remove these bubbles. I don't know if they're called bubbles, but this could be a little distracting. So when we remove them, this cake will look smoother. So you can use the spot removal for things like this. And it does a really good job actually, as you can see. I think Photoshop has this function as well, but I love that I can also do this in Lightroom. Okay, and as you can see, it looks smoother compared to the original one. So moving on, so once you're done with your spot removal, you can also remove some noise. So when you go here, this is something that I'm excited to share with you. Lightroom has this new feature wherein you can use AI to denoise your photo. So I just clicked on denoise, and as you can see, this is how it is without the denoise, and then this is how it looks with the denoise. So a lot better. That's really nice. And then we just click on enhance, and it will apply the changes. The only thing that I don't like with this function is it takes a long time to load. So I might cut this part and forward it to the next step. Alright, so we are done. We were able to apply some basic adjustments. We were able to change the white balance or adjust it. We changed the crop and we've straightened it. We added clarity. We also added a bit of saturation and vibrance. We added a gradient filter to brighten up this area. And then we also tried removing some imperfections using the spot removal tool. And you saw the before and after earlier. And we've also used AI to denoise our photo. Next, if you want to apply the same settings with the other photos, which for me is very helpful because I edit a lot of photos, you can just right-click and then click on Develop Settings, Copy Settings, and then you just put a check on whatever you want to be copied on the next photo. So you just click on copy and then you go to the next photo and then you just right click and develop settings and paste settings. And voila. Now, if you want to save this preset, let's say, for example, for me, I edit my photos like this most of the time. So I can just create a preset for this. So let's go back to our photo earlier. And then we can just go to preset and then click this plus sign and then create preset. And I can just name this, let's say, basic edits for food photos. And then I can just click on create. And whenever I have the same photo, like the same lighting setup, almost the same, no changes with the color, I can just, let's say, go to this photo and then go to my preset and then go to basic edits for food photos. And it will apply all the settings. And here's your before and after. As you can see, I did not change anything, but just selecting the preset, we were able to get this edited version right away. So for this one, I'll just crop it, let's say 1 by 1. And we're done. Easy breezy. Then from here, I can just go to file and then export this. And then I can choose where I want my photos to go. So earlier you saw my folder, so I can just go to my personal projects. And then let's say I want to share these photos for Pinterest. So I can just choose that folder and then I can just change the name, maybe change this to custom name. Let's say elegant chocolate bumps. Make sure that the image format is JPEG, color space is sRGB, quality is 100. I'm not resizing to fit. I usually keep the pixels per inch at 240. Actually putting a check on remove person info and remove location info and just click on export. So when I go to my personal projects for Pinterest, then I can see my exported photo there. And then from here, I can just go ahead and upload this to my Instagram or to Facebook or just send it to my client. And that's a wrap on my editing workflow. It might seem simple, but it took me a while to get the hang of it. Keep in mind that the style of editing is subjective and it can vary from person to person. I hope that this process gives you some useful insights. I follow this workflow for my light and airy, my dark and moody, and bright and colorful styles with a few tweaks. Now, if you want a deep dive into those styles, just let me know in the comments below. Oh, and by the way, this editing demo is a sneak peek into my revamped course, Food Photography from Beginner to Pro, a complete guide. It's the ultimate roadmap to master the art of food photography, covering lighting, composition, props, food styling, editing, and portfolio building. Now, here's the good news. The course is free for the first 1,000 students. Now, if you catch this video at a later time, hit that subscribe button and notification bell for updates on new videos and some more giveaways. And that's a wrap for today. Drop a comment with your questions or requests. If you found this video handy, give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more food and product photography tips. As always, happy clicking. Bye!